that will allow you to sell via DMs, via chat. This also works for setting sales calls through the DMs and through text and through chat. So whether you want to sell in the DMs or whether you want to use this as your process, that will ensure that you are consistently increasing your revenue month on month, then this is the training for you. Now, this is actually a private client training. I wasn't even planning to be going live here on Facebook, so I better check that this is actually working because we had so much interest, so much demand. That's why I'm here right now. So yes, I can see this is working. Whew, there we go. And so I'm really, really looking forward to this. So my team are going to be gathering your questions. So if you're here live, make sure to comment live. And if you're here on the replay, make sure to comment replay. So again, we were only planning to have a hand select of people come here, but we didn't expect that everyone more or less would say yes, that they wanted to be here. So here we are today. Now, I just want to let you know that this is just one of our accounts that we use this exact process on. You can see here 33,996. This was the leads that or phone numbers that we also had just through one account, okay? And the reason I bring that up is because that's how many brand new contacts we had enter one social media DM channel who gave us their mobile number because they had interest, right? And you can see here, this exact strategy generated 105K day from someone that was usually making 20K per month. That's pounds. You can see here as well, a 5K and a 12K package for copyright to placement using the exact process that I'm about to go through right here. So not only that, but I've spoken about this, on many, many different events. This had around 200 million in annual revenue from all the people that were in the room at this mastermind, and I've never actually shared this exactly before, because even if you've seen maybe a couple of YouTube videos or a couple small perhaps like the money making messaging method, this is just a very, very small section of what I'm going to go through here today. And while this is just like a page, right, whenever I've shared this to anyone before, they've seen the very fancy slideshow that I've made. And then when I've shown them this afterwards, which by the way, for all my clients watching this now at Impact School, of course, you're going to be, I think Kelsey already sent this page to you actually over on Slack, but you're going to get this in depth. You can use the copy and pastables and so on and so forth. And obviously you'll get, exact steps here. But for anyone, I'm not going to have like a huge sales pitch here. I just want to say for anyone that could be interested in becoming a client of Impact Schools, where we will implement this sales system with you hands-on and make sure that it's consistent and predictable for you personally, just head over to bit.ly/scale sessions. Okay, right now we are primarily, and this is going to be for the next 2 or 3 months, focusing on people who already do about 100 to 150K per year USD in their business. If you're below that, enjoy the free content for now. We got a bunch of that, but if you're above that, really looking to scale, maybe some months you have high revenue, some months the revenue is a little bit low, this is going to be very useful for you here today. And of course, what we do at Impact School, we guarantee all results. So no risk on your end. Feel free to just schedule an appointment there and you will get put up with the best person on our team to serve you, okay? So with that said, I want to go into the framework, right? And I don't want to beat around the bush here, because at the end of the day, the framework is called perfect for a reason. It works perfectly. Okay, I've seen some people try rip this off. I've seen them take previous, low ticket trainings that we've had in the past and try and duplicate it. But again, the reason why it doesn't get results is because they don't have the full framework. So I'm sharing this for the first time today. I'm a little nervous to do so because this could be used in many different ways. It could be used for good or it could be used for evil. And every client that we've worked with at Impact School is very good at what they do, and so we've had full confidence giving this to them. But for those who, this gets in the hands of, you can really sell anything to anyone who needs the thing that you're selling. So I just want to make sure that you bear that in mind, that if you're not here selling things for the right reasons, because you don't genuinely think that you can change lives, please go elsewhere, because we're here to change lives, we're here to make a difference, and I'm here to be the ally of founders who want to change lives all around the world, because that's what we do, okay? So anyway, this is our sales framework. It will allow you to know when it's the right time to make an offer or to pitch to a prospect so that you avoid getting ghosted or saying things that put people off, right? Have you ever had it? Okay, if you've ever had this, put the ghost emoji in the chat where you've made an offer to a client and maybe you even spent a load of time building a proposal and then you just never hear from them again. Or they get back to you days later and you're like, oh, sorry, I'll think about this for a few months. If that's you, put the ghost emoji in the chat, okay? Simultaneously, I'm going to show you this perfect framework to you today so that you can hire specialists who can successfully sell without you. So I was just on a call with my team right before this and I got word from one of our scale consultants, George, who was saying that a brand new member of ours who sells very, very, very high ticket packages, he actually was able to bring in a brand new client. He didn't, like the guy client of ours, he didn't even have to do any of the sales thanks to the new salesperson and the new sales system that we'd implemented into their business, which allowed him to actually pay off the total investment that he'd made into Impact School already, and he's only like a week or so in, right? So the reason I bring this up is because many times founders, we have a sales process that's just built around us. And if we're not selling, then no one else can do it as well as you, right? But the perfect framework will allow you to build a sales specialist team who can sell just as good as you, okay? So, and of course, make more revenue and increase your sales month on month rather than having some months like 200K and then the next month 5K and then the next month 40K, right? That lack of predictability is something that I want everyone to avoid, and I think that it's just natural to have a sales system that's predictable, right? So that you can have that peace of mind, never feeling this anxiety that so many people feel like, is this always going to be how I live, right? No, it doesn't need to be how you always live. Let me show you a better way, okay? Now, I just want to say a couple things. In order for this to be successful, please realize that there's way more weight here when it's used by your team versus the founder trying to do this all by yourself. Or even worse, the worst thing is when you have your team pretend to be you, okay? That's actually, you may not realize this, but like as you begin to scale, if your team are pretending to be you, it's actually very scary for them because they don't want to mess up when they're pretending to be you. I had a girl leave my company a few years ago and she said, it's just a lot of pressure being Lauren Tickner. Okay, and that stuck with me for life because I just thought, I don't feel that. But then you have to put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're employing, because if they're pretending to be you, okay, then if they mess up, you're going to be the one who's chasing them down. And as the founder of the company, right, it's a very scary moment for them. Okay, so it's better when you have a framework like the perfect framework that I'm going to show you, because your team can use this and they can put their own spin on things to get results. Okay. And as well, if you don't have a way to track the leads, then this is going to be disastrous. Because if you're doing this yourself and you don't have an assistant organizing everything for you, let's be real, right? It's just going to be total chaos. It's going to be total chaos, or you're going to be organizing everything, which is going to slow you down from making sales. And when you do this right, when you have a system, which I'm going to give you here, then you're going to have so many people that you're talking to every day that the last thing you're going to want to do is be organizing leads. Okay, so with that in mind, by the way, if you're enjoying this and if you're getting excited, do me a favor and just put a little heart on this video, because it's my first time doing a live session like this for a while, and I just want to check out how it's all going, because wow, gosh, we have 62 people here. Cool. Alrighty, well, let's get straight into it then. So what is perfect? Okay, this is a screenshot thing that you're going to want to save right here. Perfect is an acronym to memorize, which stands for, and I'll just copy this link just in case anyone is interested in working with us to implement a sales system. Okay, perfect is an acronym to memorize that stands for priority, evidence, results, fit, everyone involved, commitment, and time. Okay, so think about it like this. You want to have it clear that you know all of these outcomes before you make an offer, okay? Because let me give you an example. If you were to just be like, oh yeah, well, I think I can really, really help you because, this is exactly what I do for business. But the thing is, like, they already just joined a program and they aren't going to be finished that for 6 months, then they're just going to give you an objection. So the best sales systems make the prospect want it more than you want it. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do today. By the way, this training you can also give to your team. Let your team watch this too. We love helping our clients ensure that their sales team are performing. Why? Well, because as the founder, you're really good at the thing that you got into business for, right? And so the reason why we love to ally with founders is because we've already figured out the stuff that works and what doesn't work. You don't need to put your own spin on this framework. The framework is the framework because it works. You don't need to try and change it, okay? So anyway, let me get into these one by one. And I just want to make it clear, like, you can have an organic conversation. So I always like to, when I'm training my team, what I always say to them is these are the outcomes that you need to hit. And it doesn't matter how you get there. And so I like to train them on a concept called setup questions, okay? So what are setup questions? Well, setup questions are the questions which put you in a position to ask the question that you really want to ask. So for example, if you want to know who's the decision maker here, okay? You're not just going to say to them, okay, so are you the one that makes the decisions of all investments in your company? Or whatever it is that you do, whether you're, if you're B2C, you're not just going to say to them, are you the one that makes all the decisions when it comes to how you and your partner spend your money, right? Instead, you would set up that outcome reveal, which would be, okay, who's the real decision maker here? You would set that up through asking a series of different questions, which organically gets this all to come out. So for example, let's take this one, this B2C example, whereby we'd say, like, are you the one that makes all the financial decisions, right? You'd say, oh, okay, interesting. And just so I can make sure that I can provide the best resources for you, how long has it been that you've been feeling this way? And then they'll say, oh, it's been like 3 years at this point, blah, 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 blah. And you'd be like, oh gosh, wow, that's been a really, really long time. And like, if you don't mind me asking, I hope this isn't too personal, but like, just so I can see what I can send you over that would help, how's that been affecting you personally, right? And then you're hoping that they're gonna mention their partner or something, right? And so if they don't keep mentioning their partner or anything, you can then ask them a question like, wow, so you've been doing this all on your own? And then they'll be like, oh no, my partner this and that, right? So what I'm getting at here is you just set up the question to allow you to reveal the outcome that you need to get to, okay? So anyways, let me get into it. By the way, our team are not allowed to make an offer for a call or to sell something unless all the notes are inside of our Get Impact CRM. Otherwise, they don't get commission. And this ensures that our CRM is being properly used. So for some of our clients who are here on this call right now, again, because this is a training originally designed for our private clients only, but we just had so much interest in other people wanting to see this here today. Guys, you will have access to Get Impact, right? So if you need help with that, speak to your one-on-one scale consultant who can support you with this. You can actually do all of your messaging for your Instagram and your Facebook. You can do it all inside of the Get Impact system. And of course, we've already built out the pipelines for you so that you can see upon which stage your prospects are at. So again, like for anyone who's a client of ours, if any of that tracking stuff sounds a little overwhelming, worry not, we've got you under control. For everyone else that's not a client of ours, of course, if you're not going to become a client, then just make sure that you're organizing this really nicely, okay? All right, cool. So perfect. Let's there's a whole entire evaluation matrix here for every client. This is like in massive depth. I mean, you can see it's like a lot, but I'm not going to go through that now. Instead, I want to go through perfect framework, okay? So with that said, first thing is prioritize the pain and gain. So you can see here that we focus this on outcomes. All right, so we need to find out which of their pain or their gain is a top priority. Now, first things first, before we talk about that, I want to share one thing. What many people get wrong is that they don't understand how to get people in their DMs to begin with. All right, so if right now you open your DMs and you are not flooded with potential clients in there, then you have a traffic problem. Okay, we are not talking today about traffic. We're talking about how to sell in the DMs. And so in the future, I will get my team to do a training on increasing traffic, but obviously to any clients of ours who are on here right now, if you're having an issue with traffic, please speak to your scale consultant. We need to solve that problem first. All right. Now, if your leads aren't flooded, if your DMs aren't flooded, with leads, then of course you can do outbound prospecting. All right, outbound prospecting is very, very effective if you don't spam people. But again, I'm not going to speak about that now. It's just think oftentimes people try and jump to a solution before they really, really need it. Okay, so anyway, I'll give you a quick example. So if we head over to my Instagram, and if we look at, let's just take, I'm not sure if I'm logged in here, but if you look at my pinned post here, all right, look at all those comments. So every single person that commented, of course, we just set up a simple automation so that then they got a message, all right? And so that from there, our sales specialists have a conversation with these people using the perfect framework, okay? Same thing here, you know, we have the automation set up. So anyway, you've probably experienced that if you're here on this call now. So let's go back here. Alrighty, so prioritize the pain or gain. We need to find out which of their pains or gains is the top priority. Now, if they aren't mentioning any pain or gain, don't keep talking to them. So I'll give a great example. So one of our clients, she is a fertility doctor, and so she helps people get pregnant. And so if they say, oh yeah, we just got pregnant and I'm due to have the baby in just a couple of months, right? Well, there's no point in her team continuing that conversation because they're not an ideal client right now. So instead, they need to prioritize the other prospects. Again, if you're having to grab onto every single potential lead with dear life because you just don't have enough leads, then that's a problem to be solved for, right? And so, of course, Impact School members, we got you when it comes to that. But for anyone else, you know, start thinking about how you can actually get more reach, because that's a big issue if you're so desperate to speak to every potential client, right? So what we do is we just give them a free gift and move on, track them on our system to follow up in 3 months. Again, inside of Get Impact, for every member of Impact School, you guys can just set the date for the follow-up. I won't get into the technicalities here, but let me just continue into the process. So if they mention a pain, let them start with their problems. And if they mention a goal, let them start with their vision and desires. A mistake I see many people making is, okay, so a prospect then says, yeah, well, I'm really, really trying to, let's say your offer is to do with scaling a LinkedIn audience, right? I can just think one of our clients, Shreya, awesome girl. She helps people grow their personal brand on LinkedIn, okay? So if someone starts saying to her, yeah, well, I just can't figure out how to reach anyone on LinkedIn. Like, I just post and it gets 2 views. And one of them is my mom, okay? So if that happens, Shreya's in a really nice position to go deeper on the pain, right? She doesn't want to say like, okay, I see. Well, what are you trying to achieve with LinkedIn? And she doesn't want to change the topic. She wants to go deeper on the pain. So they mention the pain. Now let them talk more about their problems. So she would then try to understand, okay, like, well, what consequences does that cause? All right, we want to get a better understanding of what else is there, what else is going on. There are obviously a few prompts here. Got it. So what else is, so you would acknowledge, okay, if they say, I'm not reaching anyone. Okay, I see. And just so I can see what free resources I could send over that would best help you, what else is affected due to you not reaching enough people on LinkedIn? Okay, example there, right? Just a quick example. We always do this. Acknowledge, use an intent statement, have a question. An intent statement is like, and just so I can see which resources I can send over, or basically it's allowing you to clarify your intent, because, you know, if you're just clearly there to sell, you're going to get so much sales resistance and sales pressure that the prospect just ghosts you, right? I don't want you to get ghosts. I want you to help more people. So you use an intent statement always, 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 always. So just so I can see how I can best serve you, so that I can ensure that I can provide you the best free resources, etc., etc. Okay, so then you find out what all their problems are and you understand which one is actually the most important to them right now. What oftentimes happens to us is that our prospects will say, well, they're just all super important, right? Because we're dealing with founders, and founders have urgency behind everything. So it's quite funny, but that's just how our prospects are. For you, you know, let's go back to fertility doctor. The issue is most likely well, I'm gonna turn 40 soon and I'm feeling so much time pressure to have kids really, really soon, and so I just need to fix this right now, right? Or like, oh, well, I finally met the man of my dreams and I'm really afraid that I'm gonna lose him if I don't get pregnant, okay? You then know what the main priority is, so that then you can focus on that when it comes to actually selling later on. And I won't get into all of the rest of these prompts here. Okay, next is evidence, all right? And I just want to remind everybody here that this does not need to happen in the right order. This is really designed to have an organic conversation. So because we need to have an organic conversation here, right, we need to make sure that we don't have to ensure that everything happens in the right order. Because most of the time, actually, fit will happen first. Because, for example, at Impact School, it's very clear if we go onto someone's profile if they're an ideal client or not, because they have a branded profile. So we have that advantage. But if you have someone come into your DMs, again, let's take fertility doctor example again. If they come into the DMs and they are just asking you a question like, hey, I'm just trying to figure out what's the best food for me to be eating to stay healthy during my pregnancy, right? Well, they're kind of already implying that they are already pregnant, but you don't want to make an assumption. So then you would say, oh, great question. You'd acknowledge what they say, right? And then you'd ask an intent statement. So we acknowledge, great question. Intent statement would be, and just so I can make sure that I am on the same page as you and give you the best information, then you would ask the question. When you're asking me, when you're asking me, insert what they said, is this because you are pregnant right now or because you're trying to get pregnant? Okay? In that situation, you can ask a closed-ended question. Normally, you want to ask open-ended questions. But like here, you literally need to know, is it positive or is it negative? Yes or no? Because if they would already be pregnant, again, not an ideal client. So you don't want to waste time, right? So let me go back to this. So that would also like shoot that down straight away so that then you know that you don't want to continue. People are really afraid of objections, but honestly, like my team are objection chasers. Why? Because like the sooner they get an objection, the sooner they can move on and the sooner they can actually go back to doing what they want to be doing, which would be getting prospects in their world so that then they can make more commissions, right? So by the way, for everyone who's here live, I want to know, like, is this helpful? Is this useful to you so far? If you're liking what you're hearing, what you're seeing, I'd love it if you would type perfect into the chat, just so that I know that this is actually useful and helpful for you so far, because I can also give more examples if needs be. So I would love to hear that from you. And I've pulled this open in my phone right in front of me here as well, so I can see what is going on. Okie dokie, cool. I'm seeing Paula and Yinka, Baron, cool, awesome. All right, I'm glad that this is useful. Okie dokie. So next up, let's go into evidence. So this is where it's really powerful to actually have client testimonials. All right, so I actually have some saved to my shortcuts like that, and my team do the same thing too. So for example here, if then we click on this, you can see here how to add 100K profit per month to your agency or coaching business.
And in the past 6 months, I've worked with Impact School and 6x'd my revenue this year. Hi, my name is...
Okay, so that's just one very, very small example. I have a couple others saved, but you can see here, this is already there. So yeah, you just want to add this as like a passing comment at some point in the convo. The reason being is because then you know that they've actually seen some type of client testimonial. Now, the really cool thing is that we've actually been able to reverse engineer our clients, our best clients, and we've been able to vision the content that they've consumed before they became a client. So we surveyed our top 300 clients a while back, and it was fascinating to see the videos that they watched prior to actually becoming a client of Impact Schools. And we then knew that if we can build those videos into our sales process, we win, right? And so we know that when we have a whole database which actually matches, like, a client case study to the potential client that's being spoken to. But to begin with, you just need a couple of really solid case study videos. So I'd suggest that you watch this. If someone in my team can pop this in the chat for everyone on the Facebook Live, that'd be awesome. But yeah, this was really great, and I filmed this one personally myself. My team are filming these with our members now too. But this was really fun for me, and I love doing these things because I get to speak with our clients, and they get great exposure from this too. But anyway, yeah, so you just add it as a passing comment, tick off the box, boom. Again, remember, this doesn't have to happen in order. Sometimes client prospects come into our DMs because they've seen these videos, and then they want more info. So we're not going to be repetitive, right? And do it again. Okay? So I just want to remind you, the aim is not to be a robot here. Selling through the DMs requires you to be really, really agile. Okay? So anyways, let's go here. Result. So we need to understand how they'd measure success. All right? So let's have a look at the prompt. So let's say we go back to this example of, okay, I just can't get pregnant. All right, what are the problems? Well, I'm worried that I'm going to die without having kids. It was always my dream to have kids. Another problem could be, yeah, well, my partner really wants kids and he's going to leave me if we don't have them. Another problem could be, yeah, well, like, I just feel like I'm getting so old, and now if I don't have kids now, it's going to, haunt me for the rest of my life. Okay, all those problems. My hormones feel all over the place. I'm feeling so tired all the time. Okay, then you find out what's the most important one. Well, the most important one, let's say the prospect would say, the most important problem for me is, I really wanted to have kids on my life. Okay, I would quickly insert a testimonial. Well, okay, don't worry about it. Okay, look, I've worked with thousands of clients who have had also been super nervous that they would never have kids. In fact, this shows Tara, who got pregnant at the age of 52, now has two really, really happy kids, and her and her partner are now traveling the world with their little ones, right? So here's the video, like, showing that. And so just so I can get a really good understanding, then you would ask a question. Okay, so you acknowledge, right, I'm also slipping in some evidence there, and then I want to ask them a question to figure out how they would measure success. Okay, so I would probably ask in this question, with this example we gave, how many kids do you want to have and by when? All right, simple, okay? I don't need to go into more detail on that. Just make sure that you understand how they measure success, because if you miss this out, then you could be having a whole conversation and it turns out that, like, you're in your head thinking that, okay, let's say you're like a B2B lead gen offer, all right? You could be thinking this person really wants to have like a 10 million per year business and they need thousands of leads, when really, like, they might just come back to you and say, yeah, well, if I were to just get 5 more clients from this lead generation source, like, I'd be really happy. Okay, so it just allows you to know how to position things. Okie dokie. Fits, we already went through this. For our team, this is what we tell our team, like, is their business model something that we can help with, and like, what's their current revenue? Because at the moment, we're focusing on those who want to scale beyond this, unless they've set aside more than 10K. So you want to figure out for you, like, what's your criteria that makes an ideal client? If you haven't already listed that down, that would be a key action item for you on the back end of this call. So some prompts. Yeah, okay, so, for you, this one is pretty depending on what you're doing. Alrighty? Everyone involved, again, we need 100% certainty that we're speaking to the right person and that we understand how they make decisions. At this point, if they have a business partner or they have a partner, really, you're going to want to get them on a 10-minute call. Okay? Yes, I've sold to people in the DMs before when they haven't been the decision maker, and it's a pain in the ass, okay? My team, they just don't do this just because it is literally a pain in the ass. It takes too long, it doesn't work, you make a group chat and one of them is probably not very tech savvy. It's just not a good position to be in. You're setting yourself up to lose a deal. And for a sales team, again, many people think that, oh, well, just because I'm paying my sales specialist commission only, like it's okay if they don't make sales because I'm only paying them on commission. Well, that's not the case at all, actually. The case is that, let's say you're selling something for 10K, every time they don't make a sale, you're actually losing 10K. So you should take this very, very seriously, okay? If it's you as the founder, yeah, maybe you can finesse it, but why would you risk the opportunity of losing out on, as an example, 10K, okay? So I would strongly suggest, if you discover at any moment that everyone involved is not just them, then you organize a call with everyone who makes the decision, all right? Again, if they won't bring their business partner or they say, I have authority to make the decision, again, like this is a truthful example for us, so you would obviously want to make an example for you that's real, but this has happened to us. I totally understand, Tom, and in situations where companies have wanted to achieve a similar outcome, we've had situations where we have a conversation and a few unknowns that our business partner wasn't aware of come up, okay? Two partners come to mind who've been working together, this was crazy, for 23 years, and then they started having arguments, and it was just like this whole faff, and yeah, we lost the sale because of that. So I would strongly suggest for everyone involved, you find out the outcomes of truly who is involved, and then you make a three-way call, okay? Commitment, knowing they have the money to do it. For us, time and people shouldn't be an issue because that's why we're here. Like, so time and if people ever say, oh, I'm too busy, or I don't have the right people on my team, well, that's exactly what Impact School's for. So this is never an objection for us, never ever, so that's fine. But for you, it might be, okay? Especially if you're B2C or depending on what you're doing, it might require human capital, it might require more time, okay? So you have to have objection handling for that. Obviously, we have, where is it? The objection handling matrix, okay? So but yeah, so we have an entire database of objection handles, but yeah, pretty much, like, again, you don't just want to directly ask that, you want to acknowledge what they said, ask an intent statement, and then ask the question, okay? Here are some prompts. How much have you put aside? Yeah, so you get the point here, right? Once you know what they've put aside, how did you come up with that number? Okay? If they then say, like, oh yeah, well, I came up with the number because, like, if it's like a super logistical thing, then we need to overcome that. If it's like they just don't see the value, then we really need to overcome the fact that we need to get them to see the value, okay? So in the 3x3 objection matrix, it shows how if you hit an objection, you have to cycle around, okay? Because you shouldn't just continue if you hit an objection. You should then take what they've said, you should overcome it in the DMs, and then you should move on. So throughout this whole process, okay, we acknowledge, we ask an intent statement, we ask a question, we let them reply, we then propose a solution, we make sure that they're satisfied, and then we loop. Okay, this is really, really important, because if in the DMs they start objecting, right, they're like, oh, well, I've set aside like 1K to solve this, and then you're like, oh, okay, interesting, and so just so I can make sure that I can connect you with the best person from my team, how did you come up with that number? And then they say, like, well, from the results that I think that you get me, I think it's probably worth about 1,000, okay? And if you're selling something for like more than 1,000, that's a huge issue that they're not seeing the value, okay? So then you need to make sure that they see the value. I like to say, well, it sounds like the value is just not there for you. I got that from Chris Voss when I interviewed him. That was really cool. I'll show you that on YouTube, actually. Okay, if you just type in Chris Voss, Lauren Tickner, you'll find it. But anyways, and then from there, then if they just say, yeah, well, I've tried other things in the past and they just didn't work for me, okay, then we know that the objection that they're having is that they've been burnt in the past, so we need to overcome that objection. And then we just basically zap all of the objections until then we ask them again, okay, interesting. And so knowing everything that you know now, like, what value would you place on whatever it is that you're selling? And then they'd be like, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Like, it's definitely worth at least 20K for me. Okay, great. Then you move on, right? We have to overcome the objection before we make an offer. We have to get perfect down. It's not just like we breeze through perfect and we don't care if there was an objection or not. No, we have to overcome the objections as we go. Okay, I love objections. It's fun. So anyway, then time. So we need to know that they want to get a solution now. If not, we send free stuff or we mark our calendars to connect with them then. Time. How long are you in that program till? How would you be able to get started? Again, we always use an intent statement. Once you've ticked off all the 7 perfect boxes, then you can make them an offer. Okay, and I'll go into exactly what to say in a moment. But I just want to make it really, really clear, right? That like a lot of people mess this up because they just storm through it. And there's also 2 different angles to take with this, because if someone's coming inbound with intent of becoming a client, obviously you can be more direct. But if someone's just kind of like reacted to your story, or you've done outbound prospecting on them, then you can't just like tell them, oh, okay, great, well, this program is blah, 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 or, oh, this service is da, 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 da. Instead, you have to then, throughout, be using different intent statements. Okay, so for example, if someone's coming to you with intent and they're basically saying in some way or another, I want to become a client, when you're using intent statements, you would use an intent statement matching up to the reason why they're there. So for example, you would say, okay, and just so I can match you with the best specialist from our team, okay, that would be an intent statement. Whereas if you've done outbound prospecting on them, you might use the intent statement, which would be like, oh, okay, well, we have a ton of free resources relating to that. And just so I can send you over what's going to be the most valuable to you. And then you would ask the question, right? So can you see how the intent statement is different? Right? It has to be different depending on why the prospect is there. Okay? Many people get that wrong and they're too spammy and then they get ghosted, right? Again, I saw how many people commented their ghost emojis. That was a lot. I don't want anyone else to get ghosted anymore. Okay? So now we've been through the perfect framework. There's still a lot more that we need to talk about. There's still a lot more that we need to talk about here, which is what do we do after we've done, what do we do after we've gone through this? Okie doke. So there's one option on how to sell on DMs, one on how to sell appointments. I won't get into the difference between like when should you sell in DMs, when did you set appointments. I would say when you're a client of ours, then speak to your scale consultant about that. If you are not a client of ours, test both. So for example, if they've come in with intent, you could say something like this. Oh, okay, that's perfect then. I'm confident we can help you into the outcome they want. So how about this? Right now we're offering whatever your offer is to a small handful of people we hand select what to work closely with to whatever the outcome is that they want. What's your best email address so I can send you over a quick video or page which contains all the details? This is an exact message that we've used in the past to sell in DMs very, very successfully. Okay, let them send your email, make sure it gets in the CRM. We've actually set it up so that it auto links to Get Impact whenever they type an email or mobile number in the DMs. Then you would send perfect and your best mobile number, please, in case it'd be easier for you to text. They send their number, some will say no, don't object, proceed to the next phase, which is this. Okay, great. Would it be crazy to ask if you have 3 to 5 minutes to watch or read it now? Reason I ask is because I'll actually be online for the next 30 minutes or so, meaning I can stay here in the chat to support you. Again, these are exact messages that we have sent that work. These just work, okay? Let them reply again. Some will say no. If they say no, ask them when they'll be back so you can hop back in the chat then. Set it in so you don't forget. All right, then you want to send them an offer document and let them read or watch. Then 5 minutes after they've seen the message, then how's it looking? If they ghost, just phone them. You've got a phone number. Again, whenever they ask questions, acknowledge what they said, use an intent statement, and then ask a question to find out the real reason why they're asking that thing. Often, if they're there in the chat and there's a lot of back and forth, it's honestly easier just to call them and close them. This is why I like my sales specialist to be trained on selling as well as setting, because it's all just perfect. It's literally all just perfect. Okay? If they like the offer and you for sure want to close in the DMs, when they ask you, because they will oftentimes ask you like, yeah, it looks good, how can I start? make sure that they confirm that they'll leave the chat open. So again, for all of my sales specialists, I always want them seeing if they can leave the chat open if they're having a great convo. Even in the perfect phases, if the convo back and forth is good, they'll say something like, yeah, well, you know what, like, I'll be online for the next 10 minutes or so, so would you be cool to just keep the chat open so that we can keep this convo flowing, right? I know that may sound a little forced, but it actually works really, really well. We literally never have resistance on that. And again, when selling in the DMs, it's very important to price anchor and make them feel special. So many people get this wrong. Making them feel special is so important, and you always have to be honest. This is an example of something that is truthful and that we've used in the past. Great, so I've spoken to our head of client success and they've agreed to give you a special guarantee where we'll work with you until you make your investment back and for a minimum of 6 months. Is 50k paid in full or 65k on a payment plan? What's better for you, paid in full or payment plan? Okay? Remember, then when they pay, it's not closed until the money's hit your bank. It was so funny because when I actually saw my team using this message, I was at a mastermind in Tenerife. And some people were asking me about selling in the DMs, and I think they were like, nah, I don't believe this, or I'm not sure. And then there was this one guy there, Lucas, who I actually saw again recently in Dubai, and then he just saw the 50k USD wire come through. I showed him the screenshot from the DMs, and I was like, ah, cool, I just saw someone from my team just make another sale. And he was literally gobsmacked. It kind of just it was a bit of a 4-minute moment for him and a lot of the other guys at the event, because all these guys were agency owners and some of them had coaching programs and stuff. And I think for many people it seems shocking until it's done, but it's very many clients are on this call right now, and they're people who enrolled and paid in full through the DMs for multiple 5-figure sums. So I just want to let you know this is very, 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 very possible. So anyway, next phase is payment. Again, not closed until the money's in the bank. Oftentimes at this point you have to reinforce the offer. So obviously we were here talking about the offer. So a lot of people get the offer confused. An offer is different to the product. The product is the product that you sell, so the service, the program, whereas the offer is the way of presenting it. Okay, so this example here is, I believe that, what did we say? It was guarantee where we'll work with you till you make your investment back. Okay. Anyways, next phase is agreement. You're not closed until they've signed the agreement. Okay. Now, something to note about this is that the best salespeople, they don't want to sell in the DMs. So to retain top talent, it's best to have one assistant booking calls per one sales specialist. So to set an appointment, once you've ticked off perfect, it comes down to ensuring it's a natural pivot from the conversation to mentioning the offer. So for example, it seems you could be a really good fit for whatever the offer is. What are 2 times you're available today or tomorrow for a call to see if offer? And then let them share the times, then grab their best mobile number and email to book in the CRM. Again, if a lead comes in to the DMs with intent, they're clearly a good fit, then it's way easier just to book them right on a call. And then on the pre-call, have them watch a series of evidence videos. So again, if you're interested in seeing how we can implement this with you hands-on, or even have a better sales system for you, at Impact School, we do guarantee a full return on investment. So just head over to bit.ly/scale sessions. What it will do is it will just take you over to the little quiz, right? You just fill this out, go through it. So if you have a consulting business, then you go next. What are you most looking for? Okay, so maybe right now you want more sales. Okay, then go next. There's just a few really, really quick questions for you to go through. And then what we can do is we'll connect you with a specialist from our team who will be able to go through exactly what we can offer you and what we can guarantee you. Okay, because at the end of the day, as I said, we're super selective about who we work with. If you want to make more sales, increase your revenue month on month, if you want to be able to have people who can sell without you, and if you're in a position where you're truly, truly ready to sell, we're not cheap to work with, but you will make your full return on investment, and we will be with you to support, very, very, very hands-on. So with that said, that was the perfect framework. I would be grateful to serve you. Just head over to bit.ly/scale sessions. If you have any questions as well, what you can do is you can send them over to this page here. This is the Lauren Tickner Facebook page that I'm doing this live stream on now, and a specialist from our team will be there to answer those questions for you if any doubt. But to be honest, probably the fastest thing for you to do would just be to schedule a call here, and then we can go through what would be best for you. If you're below that 150k per year threshold in your business, just enjoy our free content for now. We will have some stuff coming out in the next few months, but right now our priority is serving those looking to scale to that next level. So with that said, what I'll do is I will just